It's June 22nd, 2013. Activist post posted today, the false flag war on terror. Most of my subscribers know every bit of information I'm about to read, but I'm going to read it again, and I hope that you pass it along to your Facebook folks and your email contacts and whomever. The recent revelations about government intrusion into everyone's privacy are alarming. More alarming, however, are the justifications that the government uses for invading its citizens' privacy. The entire argument that we must balance our liberty against our security is a pernicious falsehood based on lies and propaganda. The constant propaganda about threats to national security is what every regime throughout history has used to keep the support of the people. External threats from the enemy are a scare tactic that was used by the Romans and continues to this day. The German Reich used the threat posed by Poland as an excuse to start World War II. The Germans used a false flag event to invade that nation. Things haven't changed since then. The threat of weapons of mass destruction was the pretext the United States used to invade Iraq. No such weapons were found. There was also no accountability for breaking international law either. The entire war on terror is based on lies and half-truths. The alleged hijackers were supposedly Sunni, Wahhabi, Saudi Arabian extremists bent on punishing the U.S. for stationing troops on Holy Land in Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the bin Laden family visiting the U.S. at the time of the attack was allowed to fly out of the United States while all air traffic was grounded. We responded to that attack by invading Afghanistan after the Taliban offered up Osama bin Laden. If we would only offer proof that he was involved and charged of terrorism were written against him, and charges of terrorism were written against him, we refused to do that. In fact, Osama bin Laden was never formally charged in the attack. Since we were advocating for a pipeline to bring oil across Afghanistan on the Tapi pipeline, we installed Karzai, who was a CIA asset during the Soviet-Afghan War. The United States passed the Patriot Act in response to the attacks on 9/11. In reality, the Patriot Act signed into law on October 26, 2001, a 2,000-page law that the majority of our elected representatives admittedly never read. The Patriot Act allowed the government expanded surveillance capabilities. Title II established 3 very controversial provisions: sneak and peek warrants, roving wiretaps, and the ability of the FBI to gain access to documents that reveal the patterns of U.S. citizens. The so-called sneak and peek law allowed for delayed notification of the execution of search warrants. The period before which the FBI must notify the recipients of the order was unspecified in the Act. The FBI Field Manual says that it is a flexible standard, and it may be extended at the court's discretion. These sneak and peek provisions were struck down by Judge Ann Aiken on September 26, 2007, after a Portland attorney, Brandon Mayfield, was wrongly jailed because of the searches. The court found the searches to violate the provision that prohibits unreasonable searches in the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It is apparent that from the very beginning of this war on terror, the government was hell-bent on destroying the civil liberties of all Americans and institute a security state in the U.S. The government saturated the media with threat levels and propaganda to ensure that Americans were sufficiently alarmed and fearful of another terrorist attack. This continues to this day. We are constantly informed about the intentions of Al-Qaeda, a shadowy group of Sunni extremists hell-bent on the destruction of the United States. Al-Qaeda was created by us. We created Al-Qaeda, and we are now funding Al-Qaeda in Syria. Wake up, America! This group of extremists has led to an entire industry that supports and maintains the American surveillance state. Do you understand? Do you understand? The first fatality of war is truth. We have been in constant war. This country is a war country. All we do is war and kill and commit atrocities throughout the world. I am so sick of this. You can read the I'm sorry, subscribers. I'm really I'm done.